Animated Anarchy series presents the Animated Showdown.
What's up, everybody? It is Wednesday afternoon. We're here on your lunch break, so hopefully you can keep your food down. This is Animated Showdown, episode 28, part of the Animated Anarchy series. I'm your host, Dutchy, joined as always by Money E.
What's up?
Sean is with us.
Hello.
And, of course, Wildcard Dave.
Yes, sir.
All right. We are in stage 3 of the Animated Anarchy series. We started it on Saturday. It continues today. Today's battles are going to be Inspector Gadget versus the Flintstone Kids. Flintstone Kids, if they get swept, then they move to negative 30 points. We also have Gem and the Holograms taking on She-Ra, Princess of Power. Yu Yu Hakusho takes on Invincible. Steven Universe takes on Adventure Time. And in the main event, it's going to be Voltron taking on the Transformers. Now, if you've never seen the show before, we're going to get the randomizer going. 5 categories are going to be picked. If a show wins 3-0, it's 30 points. 3-1 is 20 points. 3-2 is 10, and 5 for the loser. If you are swept, you lose 10 points. Now, with the randomizer, if the 5 categories that have been picked, if one of these guys does not like one of those categories, they can switch them. Now, they can make the recommendation for the switch, but then somebody has to say, oh, okay, well, somebody has to say, all right, yeah, I agree with that. So one person can make the suggestion of the switch. Somebody else has to agree in order for that switch to happen. Can only do it once per episode, and once somebody uses their change, then they cannot do it again until everybody has used theirs at least once. So, all right, let's go ahead. Let's get this thing rolling.
Let's get it popping.
All right.
And I'll scroll the standings after this.
All right, very good. All right, can everybody see the screen?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, here we go. One click. And all right, here we go. We got humor, fan base, merchandise, voice acting, originality. Sean, do you want to change anything?
Yeah, I'd be down to change merch.
All right, what do you want to change it to?
Character development.
All right, can I get a second?
Eric?
Okay.
All right. So merch out, character development in. Dave, were you going to say no?
No, I was just waiting to see what Eric said. I was just going to let Sean have it.
Yeah.
He's not feeling good today. I was just going to give him one.
Yeah. I was going to sacrifice mine because I was going to change voice acting to animated style. But I'll let Sean have it.
All right. All right. So it is humor, fan base, character development, voice acting, and originality. Now
we haven't had the over in a long time.
Yeah. Now, what that means, Sean just used his ability to change. He cannot do it again until I don't necessarily count because there's only going to be 3 other episodes that I'm going to be judging on. So I don't necessarily count, even though I do have the ability to change, especially this upcoming Saturday and next Wednesday because I will be judging. But Sean cannot change again until after the other 2 have used their ability to change.
Yep.
So,
and obviously, I only get to change 1 episode next week, and same with Abe.
Yeah. So, but all right. So Merch is out, and character development is in. And I think that is going to help a couple of the battles here. Although I got to tell you, I think merch getting taken out is also going to, because there's a couple battles on here where merch would have probably, merch was probably going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
But now we don't have to worry about that. And all right, so now our first battle is Inspector Gadget taking on the Flintstone Kids. Inspector Gadget 2-0, 50 points in the division of Anthony Visco. Taking on Flintstone Kids 0-2, negative 20 in the division of Sean's mother, Bonnie Fedchek. If Flintstone Kids get swept again, they move to negative 30 points. We start with humor. And Sean, what show was funnier? It's Inspector Gadget versus Flintstone Kids.
Yep, I was just trying to find my note. I have Flintstone Kids winning this one.
All right. All right, Eric, go ahead.
I went the opposite. I went Inspector Gadget because I think his character is funny. So just him himself is funny.
All right. Well, we started off. We need a tiebreaker, Dave.
Okay, and the verdict is I'm going to go with Inspector Gadget here. I just think his sheer incompetence makes it pretty funny. So I do like that. Even his victories have a little absurdity to them, which make it kind of humorous, I believe.
Yeah, because they're victories he takes credit for.
Yeah, exactly. So I find that kind of funny.
Yeah.
The Flintstone Kids, I thought it was like more cute pun-based humor. It seemed kind of predictable at times. And so for that reason, I went with Inspector Gadget here.
All right. Inspector Gadget is going to get the first category. If they win two more, they sweep it. Fan base is up next. Who had the bigger fan base, Dave?
This one is tougher for me, but I'm going to go with Inspector Gadget as well here. I think it had a larger fan base, more active and broader fan base. It was also, and by IGN, ranked one of the top 100 animated series back in like the early 2010s.
Yeah.
So that had something to do with it too. I mean, top 100, you got to have fans, right? So I just feel like they had a wider demographic of people that they captured into it as well. So for that reason, I think their fan base was a little bit bigger.
Yeah, they were also on Watch Mojo's list of top 100 animated series too. So I think they make a lot of people's lists, I think. All right, Sean?
I also have Inspector Gadget here.
All right. Eric?
Yep, sweep it from what I read, and considering it's Flintstone Kids, not Flintstones, I give it to Inspector Gadget.
All right. So Inspector Gadget is up 2-0. One more, and then they get 30 points. Character development. Who had better character development, Eric?
I went with this was tough. But I went with Flintstone Kids here. I thought there was more development with the Flint Kids and the Flintstones, so I just thought there was a little more development.
Okay. All right. Sean?
This one was tight, but I gave it to Inspector Gadget again.
All right. Dave, you've had a lot of power in this first 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with the Flintstone Kids here. I just think they have a little, they offer a little more like expanding on the backstories and the personalities of the characters. I think they were like, you know, personalities of the iconic original cast. I feel like too, where Inspector Gadget, I feel like it remained static most of the time, and it was for the comedic effect. So like he never really changed. He was always the same. The Flintstone kids, at least you got like backstory depth, their personality expanding and becoming different. So I feel like it offered a lot more in that department.
Okay. All right. Let me ask this, because character development replaced merchandise. Would it have been a sweep if merchandise were the category and not character development?
Yes.
For me, it's pretty close, but I went with Inspector Gadget with the merch.
All right. So with you two, it would have been a sweep.
Yep.
So Sean, you switching out the categories made sure Flintstone kids didn't get swept.
Just doing my due diligence.
You're trying to make it so your mother
It
doesn't
worked out
punch you in the
already.
face.
It worked out already.
Yeah. So that's what happens when you give that kind of power. It gets used, and it just helped the Flintstone kids stay away from -30. All right. We move on to voice acting. It's the next category. Sean, who had better voice acting?
I gave it to Inspector Gadget because I feel like there is more emotion and continuity into their acting than Flintstone kids.
Go ahead, Eric.
I went with Flintstone Kids for the same reason that Sean said with Inspector Gadget. But I went with Flintstone Kids.
Well, what do we have here? Dave has to do 12 minutes. 3 ties have to be broken by you.
Y'all put me to work.
It's only because Sean's sick.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we got to give Sean the day off, right? But I went with the Flintstone kids here for voice acting. I thought they had, they brought like a all-star group of voice actors together. So I went with them. They had like Mel Blanc and other voice actors along those lines of that name, that status.
By the way, they also used the original actors to voice the kids' parents.
Yep.
Yep.
So I just feel like because they had that star-studded cast, it makes it very hard to compete. They just had an immense amount of talent at their hands.
Okay. All right. Well, we saw this happen on Saturday. Ninja Kamui was down 2-0, and they came back and won. Could we be seeing it one more time? Originality is the category. Dave, you get to start this time.
This originality is pretty tough, but I would have to give this one to Inspector Gadget. I just feel like it was more of an original concept to it than the Flintstone Kids, where it was a spin-off that adapted the existing franchise into the baby fiction. So for that reason, I think I went with Inspector Gadget here.
All right. Sean?
I also went to Inspector Gadget, pretty much for the same reason.
All right, Eric.
Sweep it.
All right, so Inspector Gadget. It started off, it looked like they were going to sweep, but a category change kind of benefited them.
Sure did.
Not too much, because they're still 0-3 and they're still in negative, but they're not at -30. 5 points get shaved off, so now they're only at -15.
Yep.
So, and Inspector Gadget, they get 10 points out of the deal. All right, we move on to what I know these guys are really looking forward to. Gem and the Holograms versus She-Ra, Princess of Power. Gem and the Holograms, 1-1. Eric just took himself off camera so he could puke. Gem and the Holograms, 1-1, 20 points in the division of my cousin Jacob Hummer. She-Ra, Princess of Power, 1-1, 30 points in the division of Kenneth Williams III. So we are going to start with humor is the first category. And Dave, why don't you go ahead and kick us off here?
Yeah, I went with She-Ra, the power or the Princess of Power. I thought it was more intentional humor in there, a little more modern humor, and I feel like you get a couple giggles off of the character's quirks.
Yeah.
So that's why I picked She-Ra, and yeah, there wasn't a ton of humor in either, but I feel like She-Ra had more intentional humor.
Alrighty. All right, Sean.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with She-Ra here, unfortunately.
All right, Eric.
I went the opposite. Holograms.
Okay. So She-Ra is up 1-0. Two more and then they sweep. We go on to fan base. And who had the bigger fan base, Eric?
From what I read and researched, it led me to She-Ra.
All right, Dave?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Eric here. I just felt like it definitely had more of a larger, more modern, and more active fan base, especially on social media. And I feel like a lot of that has to do with its like recent availability.
Yeah.
For like, being able to stream it and whatnot. So I feel like because of that, it has a little more of a fan base too. Gem and the Holograms, I feel like it's being forgotten with the times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Gem, it is available. I mean, you can find the episodes on YouTube, and you can also find them on Tubi, but also with She-Ra being available, like it's available on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Which I think is a bigger service than Tubi, or at least they charge more. All right.
I feel like if you're into like 80s pop culture and stuff, you would go look and search for Gem the Holograms. But how many people are really into that?
Yeah. And by the way, also too, you got to remember She-Ra is also part of that He-Man fan base.
Yeah, for sure. And he has a massive fan base.
He does. All right, Sean.
Sweep it.
All right. They're up 2-0. One more, and then they sweep. Character development. If this were merch, it would be a little closer because, by the way, Gem and the Hologram, the cartoon was Gem and the Holograms. The cartoon was made to sell merchandise.
Yep.
Okay. Now, does the change affect things in a positive or negative way? Sean, go ahead.
Yeah, I gave this one to She-Ra slightly. I just think there is not much development in Gem and the Holograms compared to She-Ra.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Eric.
I went the opposite. I went Holograms. I thought that there was a little more development in that, but I don't think there was much in either.
Okay. Jesus. Dave, time number 4.
See, there was a little bit of growth in each, but I did go with went with She-Ra here, the Princess of Power. I just felt like it brought a little bit more serialized storytelling, which I feel like allows characters to like learn, regress, evolve over time a little more productively. Like sometimes you see like traumatic bonds between like Adora and Catra. You see bonds like that, which could be traumatic and stuff like that. So you see like depth in different areas, and I just feel like that's a lot more than what Gem and the Holograms provides. Gem and the Holograms, I feel like they do like this kind of friendly, like depth, like friendship and loyalty, and the importance of like family. But that's all they really touch on. I
Right.
don't really see a lot of character development though.
All right, fair enough. So they She-Ra, Princess of Power, gets the sweep. They get 30 points out of it. Gem and the Holograms loses 10 points. By the way, Gem and the Holograms, stage 1, they swept. They swept Josie and the Pussycats. They got themselves 30 points. They're going downhill. They got swept in stage 2 by Denver the Last Dinosaur. They get swept here. They're going in the opposite direction in the way that, like, you would, I'm sure certain people want their shows to go. Some people want their shows to go up. This one is going down pretty quick.
That's surprising.
So, all right. We move on to the next battle. It's Yu Yu Hakusho versus Invincible. I kind of goofed this one up because I didn't want to do a division battle until later on, like if we had to decide like who was going to win divisions. But both of these shows are in the division of Sky Zine. Yu Yu Hakusho is 1-1, 25 points. Invincible is 0-2, but they have 10 points. So this basically is going to be used for a tiebreaker later on. So if both of these shows end up tied with the same amount of points at the end, whatever the result is here is going to help decide who's going to win that division. And we start with humor. And Dave, you're up.
Yeah, I'm going with Yu Yu Hakusho here. I just thought they were sharp and witty with their dialogue. Their trash talking of Yu Yu Hakusho is pretty funny. I like it. It's kind of like the old school type of humor, and I enjoyed it. Invincible, I think, if you like that humor, it's more like dark, dry type of like sadistic humor. Compared to like Yu Yu Hakusho, where it's more like, just banter and stuff like that.
All right, Sean?
I went the opposite way. I went with Invincible. I think that show has a lot of like hidden funny moments. I like the annoying humor, especially when I can't remember the guy's name now. But there's a scene in there where Invincible is saying, "Oh, I got my powers," and Omni-Man is like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" And every question is just, that's the answer. Are you sure?
Yeah. All right, Eric, you're breaking a tie.
I went with Dave here. I actually didn't go with the dark humor this time, but I just like the humor in Yu Yu Hakusho better. Just a little bit tad better.
All right. They're up 1-0. 2 more, and then they sweep. We move on to fan base. Who had the bigger fan base, Sean?
And I went with Invincible. I think that show's just taken over by storm, and even with their new season coming out, they reference a lot of like what their fan base has been saying and asking for. So,
All right.
I went with Invincible.
All right, Dave?
Man, this is tough because I feel like they both have a huge fandom. But I'm going with Yu Yu Hakusho. I think its legacy, its impact, how long it's been out, the longevity of it. It just cultivated so many fans over that time period. And I feel like, when you get into anime, like if you are to watch Invincible for your first anime, you're going to want to look towards other animes, and Yu Yu Hakusho is one of the founding animes, so you would go and watch that most likely. So I feel like it still has huge current engagement by new fans, and long-term fans that rewatch it. So I just feel like because of that longevity, that impact that they've made, they take this one. That's nothing against Invincible. I feel like they have a huge growing fandom. I just feel like because of the longevity, Yu Yu Hakusho takes this.
All right, Eric, you're breaking another tie.
Yep, I went with Dave here again. I went.
I am not
Hakusho.
surprised because usually when his answers are longer than 120 seconds, you usually go with him.
No, I had it.
You plant
I
the lips right
that
on his
anyway,
buttocks. Sean, even when you're on your deathbed, he won't agree with you.
That's fine.
All right. Next week, if he tries to pull any of that stuff, well, I mean, he can't do it because he's hosting the live show. But when we do the pre-recorded show, actually, no, he can't do that at all next week because Dave's hosting the pre-recorded show.
Yep.
Yes, we're not going to be judges together.
Yeah. So there will be no. I mean, I'm sure, like Dave will, when Dave gives his statements on each show, like it'll kind of sway Eric, and Eric will look at his phone and be like, "Hey, which one do I pick?"
Yep. I can see you doing that.
And then when I see him typing that, because I will be sitting next to him, when I see him doing it, I will smack him in the plums. But all right, Yu Yu Hakusho is up 2-0. One more, and then they sweep. Character development is the next category. Eric, I'm sick of giving you power, so you're starting.
I went with character development. I went with invisible here. Did I say that right? Yeah.
Invincible.
Yeah, invincible.
All right.
I thought there was more, a little more development in that show.
All right, Dave.
This one was tough for me because I thought they both had growth. But I do give this one to Invincible. I just feel like it had it had deconstructive arcs as well as growing arcs. So like you see downfalls of people and you see people also raise up. So they have a little bit more depth here, I feel like, and a little bit on the emotional depth as well. So I find that, and they're violent, very violent in some of these gritty storytelling things, and I feel like it definitely puts on a little more of that impact for that character development.
All right, Sean.
I gave this one to Invincible. I think there's a lot of character growth, and they're
Especially in Gray.
and then what am I trying to say? The storylines help a ton.
Yeah.
Especially in the first 2 seasons, like they really hammer that down.
All right, so Invincible will not get swept here. They will. It's 2-1, but Yu Yu Hakusho can still win it in this next category, which is voice acting. Who had the better voice acting, Sean?
I like Yu Yu Hakusho a little bit more, so I'm going to give it to them.
All right, Eric.
Yeah, I went you Hakusho here too.
All right, Dave.
Yeah, this one was tough because Invincible did have a high star-studded cast, like J.K. Simmons, Stephen Ewan, Sandra Oh, sorry. But I did go Yu Yu Hakusho here. It's one of the most beloved English dubs in anime history. So for that reason alone, because of that, I went with them.
All right. They're going to take it 3-1. They're going to get 20 points. Invincible is not going to get any points here. And right now, like Yu Yu Hakusho technically is in the lead in their division, but obviously the other shows haven't gone yet. But if it does come down to Yu Yu Hakusho and Invincible, after all the stages are over with. This could very well, if both shows are close in points, this is pretty much going to be the tiebreaker. So we move on to the next battle, which is Steven Universe taking on Adventure Time. Steven Universe is in the division of Mike Burns, and they are 0-2, but they have 5 points. And Adventure Time is 1-1 with 20 points in the division of Tiffany Zell. So whoever's sharpening a pencil, knock it off. But all right, we move on to the first category, which is humor. And Sean, why don't you go ahead and start?
I gave it to Adventure Time. I laughed more at that show than anything else.
Okay. All right, Eric.
I went with Steven Universe.
All right. Guess what, Dave?
Yeah, it comes down to me again. I went with Adventure Time here. I just thought it had a little more humor in it. I just thought it was a little more fast-paced humor too. I feel like its humor is like random, eccentric, kind of chaotic. You know, some of it I liked, some of it I didn't, but I thought it had a little more humorous events in it than Steven Universe.
All right.
It kind of had that zany humor.
Yeah. So, all right, we move on to the next category, which is fan base. Adventure Time is up 1-0. And Dave, why don't you go ahead and start?
Yeah, I gave this one to Adventure Time. I just thought it was a broader mainstream appeal from everything I was looking at. And it had a decent longevity to it as well. So I feel like because of that, they have the fan base here. That mainstream appeal definitely helped.
All right, Sean?
Adventure Time. Sorry, I had that one at 50-50.
Gotcha. All right, Eric?
I went the opposite. I went Steven Universe. When I read, it then made the Steven Universe.
All right. Adventure Time is up 2-0. One more, and then they sweep. Character development is the next category. Eric, what did you go with?
I don't think there was much development in Adventure Time, so I went with Steven Universe because I think there's more development with the characters.
Okay. Dave.
Yeah, I went with Steven Universe here. I thought it just had more consistent growth to it. It had some emotional scenes as well. So I gave it to them. I feel like Adventure Time, I didn't see a ton of like growth between the characters. I feel like it takes a longer time for you to see any growth in there.
All right. And all right. You're going to Steven Universe too?
Yes.
All right. So we are at 2-1 Adventure Time. They can still win it in the next category, which is voice acting. Sean, go ahead.
I went with Steven Universe because it was less like annoying. I thought the actors did a better job.
All right. And Dave, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, I went with Steven Universe. I feel like it felt more organic in my eyes, like Sean alluded to, Adventure Time was very chaotic. And I'm not a huge fan of that. Like, yes, I guess, that chaos scenes and whatnot, it takes some voice acting, but I prefer the really good performances that are emotional and stuff like that. And I feel like Steven Universe delivered a little bit better on that.
Okay. All right, Eric.
Yeah, I went with Steven Universe. I thought the voice acting was more crisp and just less annoying.
All right, so we got another one that's going to go to 5. So we got another close one. Both shows are going to get points. Originality is the last category. Dave, why don't you start us off?
Ooh, this was tough. I feel like they're both pretty original in their own ways and their own concepts. But I think I'm gonna go with Steven Universe here. For some reason, I just think it has a little more originality to it. I mean, we've seen shows that have these chaotic scenes constantly, and I feel like that's what Adventure Time is. It's just like a bunch of random shit that they throw in together to make an episode. To me, the story I didn't really like for Adventure Time, and Steven Universe, I feel like its storytelling is a lot better, which made it more enjoyable for me, and I could actually see their concepts that they had in there. To whereas Adventure Time, I didn't really care. So I've seen the more originality in Steven Universe. To me, I feel like Adventure Time was trying to like copy off of past shows, like ones that kind of like maybe like a Looney Tunes, but more vocal.
Okay.
And more annoying.
Right. All right, Sean.
Dang. I agree with Dave. I was trying to decide who to do, but I agree with Dave.
All right, Eric.
Yeah, I agree with these guys. Steven Universe.
All right, so
I just want to let you guys know these shows are connected. Steven Universe creator Rebecca Sugar was a key writer and storyboard artist for Adventure Time.
yeah, I kind of knew that. That's why I made the matchup.
Oh, I was just letting these two know.
Yeah,
just in case.
Yeah, they probably didn't know, but I had heard that, so that's why it's just like, all right, well, this is what I'm going to do.
Hell yeah.
All right, Steven Universe is going to get the 10 points out of this. Adventure Time is still going to get 5. So, all right, main event time. It's Voltron versus Transformers. We go back to the 80s for this one, and these are two pioneers for these types of shows. Voltron, 1-1, 30 points in the division of Dave's lovely Mrs. Amanda. And Transformers, 1-1, 20 points in the division of my sometimes lovely brother, Daniel Hummer. So, all right. We start with humor. I mean, to me, I don't think either show really had a lot of humor, but I'm not judging. You guys are. So, Sean, start us off.
I went with Transformers.
Okay. All right, Dave?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Sean here. I just felt like there was a little more intentional, goofy humor in Transformers.
All right. Eric?
Yeah, I went with these guys. Transformers, just a little more humor there.
All right, they're up 1-0. 2 more, and then they sweep. Fan base is up next. Who had the bigger fan base, Dave?
Ooh. It's tough. It's tough, but I'm going. Transformers names hold a lot of weight. It's huge. But so does Voltron. This is where I've had like this is one of the more difficult subjects for me here, because they both have massive communities. But I'm going with Transformers here. I just feel like this show. I mean, Transformers was, it for a lot of kids. Like a lot of kids growing up didn't watch Voltron; they watched Transformers.
Yeah.
Like a lot of like a lot of people didn't know what Voltron was, maybe until they got a little older or whatnot. I feel like Transformers was a little more mainstream for the audience.
Yeah, and they both came out at the same time, and I feel like Transformers got a lot more love.
Yeah, and I feel like they had a lot more appreciation with like the toys, the media, the lore, and stuff like that, which I feel like helped captivate more of the fan base as well.
Well, again, they are in another show that was created to make merchandise or to promote the merchandise. That's one of the reasons why Hasbro, I think it was Hasbro. That's one of the reasons why they were created, is because somebody had the idea for Transformer toys. And it's like, okay, how do we sell these things? Oh, we'll make a cartoon. And that's what they did. Sean, you're up.
Yeah, I think Transformers had the bigger fan base.
All right. Eric?
Yeah, Transformers. I think it's more global. I mean, I think they're both global, but I think it's more popular.
All right. 2-0 Transformers. One more, and then they sweep. Character development. Eric?
This was tough because they're similar shows, but I went with Transformers here. I thought there was more, just more development in the characters.
All right, Dave.
Yeah, I went with Transformers here just because of their consistency and their depth of development they really get into. Voltron, I mean, early on, their character development was pretty good, but later, there's a lot of inconsistencies with their character development, and for that reason, I went with Transformers.
Okay, fair enough. All right, and Sean?
Yeah, sweep it.
All right, Transformers is going to sweep. They are going to win, so they're going to get the 30 points. Voltron is going to lose 10. So they go from 30 points to 20 points. And what's funny here is Transformers, their first matchup was the main event of our very first animated Hour of Power. And they got swept by the Ninja Turtles.
Yep.
They've had 2 sweeps that they've won since then. They've swept the Smurfs. Now they've swept Voltron. They're starting to gain some footing. And they're starting to come back and be the powerhouse that I think a lot of people figured they would be. So they get the 3-0 win there. Voltron started off strong, but they've lost 2 in a row. So, all right. This Saturday on animated, technically it's not even animated Hour of Power. It is, but it isn't. It's our Judge's Choice special. So it's going to be an animated Hour of Power's time slot. Or not even that, because we're starting at 4 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. So it's special time for a special show. And the judge that got to pick these matches is Eric. So Eric will be hosting. Lord help us. And the matches that are happening. SpongeBob SquarePants is going to take on Alf the Animated Series. Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog takes on the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. King of the Hill is going to take on Rugrats. Pokemon takes on Rocket Power. That match was basically just made as a kick to Sean's crotch. Doug takes on Hey Arnold. And the main event is X-Men the Animated Series taking on Captain Planet and the Planeteers. Next Wednesday will be when at noon Eastern time will be when Wildcard Dave's Judge's Choice episode airs. Dave will be hosting. Dave picked these battles.
Whoop, whoop.
Teen Titans is going to take on Avatar: The Last Airbender. Black Clover takes on Fairy Tail. Solo Leveling takes on Jujutsu Kaisen. Naruto Shippuden takes on Bleach. Oh, this one's going to be tough. One Piece is going to take on Dragon Ball Z. And your main event is going to be Attack on Titan taking on Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. So that is what we have to look forward to for the next two upcoming shows. And like I said, Eric will be hosting the show on Saturday. Wildcard Dave will be hosting next Wednesday's program. So make sure to like and subscribe to the When Tunes Combine YouTube channel. Join the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/When Tunes Combine. Also like and subscribe to the Wrestling Through the Years YouTube channel this Friday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to talk TNA Lockdown 2009. Also like and subscribe to Eric's Unscripted Sports Show YouTube channel, the Stabcast with Dangle and Mindy, that YouTube channel as well as the Dizzle 97 YouTube channel and Twitch. You're going to find Sean on Twitch at TCAX Reaper, on Twitch at TCAX Reaper, but also on TikTok, YouTube, and Kick. And you'll find Dave on Twitch at TCAX Godsend95. We'll see everybody Saturday for a special start time of 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Peace.
See ya.
Later, boys.